Hello, Internet. I'm Matt.
And I'm Monster Punter.
And this is the Parallax Scrolling Podcast, where we give you our perspective on video games and the news that affects them. No news today, just video games.
Yes.
Yay! We gotta have one of those, because, we're getting into the slow season, newsworthy of video games.
The calm before the storm, so to speak.
Yeah, we're gonna have probably have a busier time come fall, but anyhow. Let's start off with gaming. What have you done this week?
I've played some Unicorn Overlord.
And is it getting better?
I like it. I like it a lot, actually.
Good.
I wish that there wasn't as many characters as there, because every time I turn around, more characters are joining me.
Oh, you mean like when I had that problem with Uden Chronicle Rising?
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's another guy, and another guy, and another guy.
But at the end of the day, you're trying to craft your teams to be for specific purposes. Sometimes you can craft your teams. Other times, you'll want to craft and be kind of balanced, depending on what you're going against. Let me also specify, I'm playing this on normal, and I think I might have to bump it up a difficulty if I can. I can't remember if I can.
Oh, you're just that good?
No, but when my level 8 characters can take out level 12 characters pretty easily, something doesn't feel right.
Oh.
So.
Best of luck, I guess. Has that really been it?
Yeah, that's been it.
Okay. So I am currently going back to Elden Ring.
Oh, did you get the expansion?
No, I'm getting prepped to do the expansion.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't done it yet. But so I started a new guy because I got to remember the game. I got to remember how to play. So having a little fun with that. But the reason I'm doing that is because I beat Monarch. And that game is very cool. I did not expect the turnaround, the flip, to happen the way it did and to be as satisfying as it was.
Okay.
So, game's great. I beat it, but I have not gotten the true ending, which you can only get once you beat the game. So, I'll be doing that off and on. Because that's going to require more grinding and leveling, because the end game is pretty much fighting a bunch of bosses that are all level 99.
Oh, fun.
So I have to max out all my guys.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Well, I'm already level 80-something, so it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of doing it. But, yeah, other than that, yesterday I ended up having a lot of open time as opposed to normal, and I actually started a game and beat it, and I started another game and I'm trying to beat it. Metroidvanias, both of them. I got them. So I got them on Steam for free. They're both free games.
Okay.
All right. The first one is called Ex Vitro. EXVITRO. And I'll put the name in the chat for anybody who's actually watching the video. You can see what name I'm talking about. I beat the game in about 2-3 hours, and it was actually really satisfying. Like the game looks great. The power-ups are actually pretty cool. The boss fights that were there are pretty decent, and the story's well written. It was a good experience. I'm glad I played it. The next one is called Eldritch Vania. Guess what it's about?
It's about fluffy unicorns.
Yes, actually. So you play a Scotsman. I don't know why, but they made sure to know, like, it's a Scotsman.
Are they in kilts?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm in a kilt, and I use a sword. I have a big broadsword.
I wish. I mean, I get the broadsword. That makes sense.
Yeah. Historically
speaking, but I would have definitely gone for some bagpipes and just fought all your enemies with bagpipes. Why not bagpipes?
Because it's an eldritch horror game.
You tell it, dude. Who cares if it's eldritch horror? They all die to bagpipes. And...
Well, anyways, it's. The maps are small. There's like 4 areas in the game, which isn't bad, especially for a free game. But there's a lot of puzzles. You really need to be smart to play this game, smarter than me. Because I've already had to look up 3 or 4 puzzles because I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand what you're talking about. But then once you figure it out, it's like, okay. So there's a little bit of misdirection, a little bit of misunderstanding where to go and what to do. Some of the boss fights can be kind of either ridiculously easy or like that made no sense why that one took me 5 tries, kind of thing. But it's it's not bad. It's enjoyable. I wouldn't say it's like definitely my top anything for a Metroidvania, but it's okay.
Okay.
So anyhow, we're going to get into our specific topic of the episode, which you should already know because it's pretty much going to be in the title. But before we do, this is the call out. This is the reminder. Hey, if you like what we do and you like us, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, hitting the notification bell, all those things that make YouTube happy, and talking to us, which makes us happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's it. Plug over. Now, I want to go on record. This is not fair.
Totally fair.
This is not fair.
Totally
Monster
fair.
comes up to me and says, hey, I got a great idea for the episode. Let's do our top 10 SNES games.
Yeah, Super Nintendo.
Minded, Monster hasn't played a ton of Super Nintendo games, and that's what I grew up on.
Yeah,
It's
isn't it
not
great?
fair.
It's totally great.
It's not fair.
A perfect thing.
Yeah, no.
It's not. Let me be clear. I had trouble coming up with my list.
And I had trouble shrinking my list. It's not fair.
A lot of these games are on here by default because I actually played them. Yeah, let's just go with that.
And I am invoking my special privilege because I played so many games.
You have a special privilege?
Yes.
What kind of special privilege is that?
Of having played the games all these times. Certain series I am grouping together. Like the games are grouped together as a selection because they're all amazing.
Jeez.
Yes.
Jeez.
You made me do this. I'm adding my own rules to it. All right, here we go. First game.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
One other thing. These are games we actually played in the time where they were intended to be.
Right, because otherwise my list would be way too long at this point. Yeah. No. So, since you got you clearly have the shorter list, why don't you go first?
Short list, yes.
You go first.
All right. In no particular order. Well, except for number 1. We could do number 1.
Like I said, yeah, you want to do just one at a time, and then we kind of explain the game a little bit?
Yeah, but I mean, like the last game I'll say is probably my number 1 game on Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Everything else is in no particular order.
Okay, and we are going to talk about the games a little bit just because I need to put some video footage to this, and it gives me time to put some actual decent footage to this.
All right. We'll start with Joe and Mac.
Okay.
That was
Caveman Ninja, pretty darn good.
Yeah, swinging their clubs and miscellaneous weapons coming out of them was kind of weird.
Well, it depended on what power-up you got.
Sure, but you always swing your club and whatever weapon you had. I always got the stupid wheels, and I always hated those
Dude,
things.
the wheel wrecked the plesiosaur every time.
Yeah, well, still.
The wheel was great for that fight. The other fights, yeah, not so great. Like the pterodactyl, the wheel sucks. But the plesiosaur.
Yeah. So that was definitely one I played a lot with my friend. Yeah. Now keep in mind, most of these games I played were over at a friend's house because I didn't own a Super Nintendo. But we played Joe and Mac because it was a 2-player game. I had some fun with it. I never got to play the Sega Genesis version though.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much difference between the two, but yeah, that game was a lot of fun. So that's a good pick. Pick. Okay. Mine. Which one do I want to drop on you first?
Oh, by the way, before he starts going, our lists are probably going to be dramatically different.
Yeah, mine's full of bombs, just so you know. I got some great games on this list. So let's start with, we'll start with probably one that people can argue is a great game. Whether you think it's top 10 or not is of your own opinion, but I'm going to start with this one. The Adventures of Batman and Robin.
I never played... Yes, I never played... You're going to hear this a lot. I've never played that one.
Look back at his list. Did I do that one? I don't know.
It's probably not going to be the last time I say that.
So this is one of those games that was where Warner Brothers was putting out 2 different versions for the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. I also was going to put Animaniacs on my list, but I took it off. I chose one of the 2, and I chose this one. Reason being is this one is fantastic. The graphics are so good. The gameplay is so
based
good.
on the animated cartoon?
It's on the cartoon. Yeah, based on the
No, I'm
cartoon.
just saying, yeah, the animation and everything's based on the cartoon.
Yeah, it looks exactly like the cartoon, and it was fluid. The characters moved like they were in the cartoons. It was so good, and yeah, no, it's just so good. And a lot of the episodes, or a lot of the levels, were based off of episodes in the series. Like when you go to fight the Riddler, you actually are in the Riddler's maze where you have to fight like the Minotaur and stuff. Oh, such a good game. So good. So yeah, definitely on my list.
Okay. All right. The next one I think I'm going to go with is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time.
Okay.
That I played quite a bit growing up. I played the Turtles games on the Nintendo. I think the Hyperstone Heist is almost the same game on Sega Genesis.
Yeah, it's a little different.
But it's almost the same game. But I did play Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo. If you like beat 'em ups, it's a classic. Definitely give it a try.
I would. That's a great one to put on your list. I wouldn't put it on my list because it's like many other games are just versions of arcade games that I played in the arcade first. So I played Turtles in Time in the arcade first. Then when it came to systems, I played it again. So it's not on my list, but it's still a great choice.
Okay.
So. Yeah, I'm not going to shirk your opinions on these.
Listen, I don't have a whole lot to choose from here. So.
Yeah. Okay, let's give you guys an obvious one. Ready? Super Metroid.
It's not your number one game on Super Nintendo?
No. Oh no. No, definitely not.
Mr. Metroidvania himself? Okay.
Yeah, no. Super Metroid's a great game. But at the same time, you can only play it so many times. You know, like to those of you speedrunners out there who actually are speedrunning Super Metroid and trying to get constantly faster and faster times, I applaud you and your efforts.
That's just in general in speedrunning, though.
Right,
but
I'm talking about Super Metroid in particular. I'm giving you props for that. No, I've the base game of Super Metroid I've played enough. I cannot go back to play it unless I literally have like maybe an hour to spare.
But then again, it's a different mindset. If you approach it with a different mindset, you'll probably get a different sort of enjoyment out of it. Like if you're actually trying to speed run it, you know, you're.
Oh, but I'm not talking about me trying to speed run it. I'm just talking about me playing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just because I do know some tricks, but those tricks don't like grossly speed up my game. It's just I can now beat the game without certain items.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go with Super Mario World.
What a funny story about that.
Yes.
Never played it really.
Really?
Yeah. The one time I had a chance to play it, my neighbors had their grandson over, and he was a kid I used to hang out with when he would come over to visit. And one time he brought his Super Nintendo, and he had Super Mario World, and I was so excited to play with him. And I just sat there and watched him play for like an hour and a half, and then I never played it. And yeah, not interested. No.
Well, I mean, I did play it again with my friend over at his house. We played all the way through it and beat it. We did all the things too. We went to the Star World and everything.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. I think, if I remember correctly, you got all the different colored Yoshis. We got all the different colored Yoshis. Yeah, it's a good time. 12-year-old me enjoyed the game.
Yeah. I think that's probably part of it, is that like 12-year-old me or 14-year-old me would have enjoyed it a lot. Me not now, no.
I played it a little bit in the emulator on the Nintendo Switch, and It's still pretty easy.
I'm not saying I haven't tried, but like every time I've seen it, I'm like, not up for it. Okay. Let's begin to spice this up a little bit. ActRaiser. Oh, ActRaiser is such a great game. So you start off with a little angel cherubim person over on an overworld, and you're trying to take care of a community. And you do that by helping to build resources and like city management, but at the same time you're also like fighting off the monsters and the demons as they come out of the woodwork to attack the citizens. And they'll burn buildings and they'll attack civilians. But at the same time, when you start to uncover the monster nests, that's when you get involved as the deity character and you inhabit a statue and you begin to wreck house.
Yeah, I did play that one back in the day.
I love that game. That game's so great. The music's amazing. The story is pretty solid. The one level where you like deal with the poisoning, like the village being poisoned, is so depressing. It is so hard to get through that level story-wise, but after that, the game's amazing.
See, I think the new one did improve upon the old one in the fact that it has tower defense linked to the overworld, which I thought was...
I've not played the new one. I'll have to check that out.
The new one's good.
Okay, cool.
All right. Next on the list.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put very many racing games, and I actually have one on here, and maybe one later. F-Zero.
That's a good one.
I played a lot of F-Zero at my friend's house again, the same friend.
Your friend got taken advantage of, didn't he?
Oh, no, not really. But either way, played a lot of F-Zero. It was fun. It was the Mode 7 graphics at the time were really impressive. And it's just a lot of fun. The sense of speed was definitely there. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
It's a fun game. I had problems understanding some of the mechanics, but that was me. So, good pick. Alrighty. I put everything, jostled it down really quickly on my notes, and I'm trying to go through it all. And which ones did I talk about? Okay, I talked about those three. Here comes the next one. This is where I start to cheat.
Uh-oh. What?
By combining series. I told you.
Fine. Yeah, that's right.
All right. I played all three of these when I was in high school. The last one that I'm going to mention is the first Super Nintendo game I ever had. I earned it. I bought it myself, and I loved it, despite what anyone says. But Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, and Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
Mystic Quest even, huh?
Yes, Mystic Quest was the first Super Nintendo game I ever had. And I loved it. And it's not a bad game. It's especially great for people who have never played a role-playing game before and they want to know how they work. Play that one. Story's simple. Things are fairly laid out. You don't have to struggle too hard. You know where the monsters are, and the best part was the monsters had animations when you started whooping them. So you knew if you were getting closer to beating them or not. That's a great mechanic. I wish they'd bring that back to all RPGs. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's something you don't see too often in RPGs.
But then to go back to Final Fantasy IV, so good. The story of redemption and then just the craziness that happens around Cecil and Rosa. It's so great. And then obviously Final Fantasy VI, which my brother says is probably the best RPG ever.
A lot of people think that.
And you know what? It's definitely up there. It's definitely up there because I can absolutely see why people love that game. And the characters are amazing, and the world in ruin, and the world of order, everything was well done. Just wish they would have explained you need to wait for Shadow, because that perked me so much on my first as a kid. I was like, I lost Shadow? What? you better believe I went back, played that game, and saved his butt.
Well, on a bit of a more upbeat take,
Yeah.
Mario Kart.
Okay.
Remember, this is these.
Oh, I played Mario Kart. I love Mario
all these
Kart.
Nintendo games I'm spouting. I don't really play Nintendo games anymore, but I did at that time, and I can recognize when I enjoyed something once upon a time.
Honestly, battle mode, when they started adding Mario, oh, so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good stuff.
But again, another Mode 7 game, and
Dude, Mode 7 was so awesome.
Yep, and one of the most iconic little. It's kind of. I don't want to say that it started all the kart games, but it might have. I can't recall for sure. But it was if it didn't start it, it definitely made them popular. Mm-hmm. And here we are, Mario Kart 8, and it has how many tracks now? I mean, it's ridiculous. So, and people keep buying it. So, it's great series. I can recognize it's a great series.
Okay. Well, my next game. So remember how I said I didn't put any arcade games that I played first on my list? Mm-hmm. I didn't play this one on arcade first. I played it on Super Nintendo first, and then I played it in the arcade.
Okay.
But it is probably one of the coolest brawlers I've ever played.
Oh.
And it'll stand the test of time in my heart. King of Monsters 2.
Oh, King of Monsters 2.
King of Monsters 1 was literally a battle royale, like wrestling game for monsters. But then they took the concept and put it into a brawler type game, which was just so good. And I loved playing as Atomic Guy.
I played that at the arcade.
Yeah.
Which is the Neo Geo version.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Cyber-woo. You knew it was going to come back. You knew it was going to come back and haunt you. Cyber-woo is amazing. Giant metal monkey. And then, obviously, the main character, so to speak, the Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
Who could literally grow his unicorn horn and rip it off and use it as a sword in fights was awesome. No, you stomped around cities. You fought giant alien monsters that were attacking the Earth. And it literally was destroy all monsters in a video game format at that time. So it's such a great game.
Okay. I have done...
We're halfway
6, through. Yep. 5. Sorry.
You've done 5.
The next one on the list is going to be Mech Warrior.
Okay.
And as someone who is a big BattleTech fan, when I was just getting into BattleTech at the time, and that's the one that had the first person view. And
is that the one I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the one that had the Mad Cat.
Yeah, and which is which is that's a different one.
Yeah.
This one was cool because for me, as someone who was getting into BattleTech at the time, to have a game or be able to play a game that had the weapons and the world and everything that you were doing in BattleTech.
Is that the one with the arena? Like the arena fighting?
No, but
there's one there's one's pretty much like that.
It might have had something like that. I don't know for sure, but you could still customize your mechs if memory serves on that game too. I mean, the graphics are what they are really for the time, but
still pretty solid.
For me, it was a memorable game, and I enjoyed it to pieces when I was growing up.
Awesome. Okay. Here's where things get spicy. I have to start dwindling my list down and figuring out which one is my number one. Okay. Since you decided to put number one in this. Okay. So we don't really have a top 10. We have a top 11. I'm going to spoil it right now.
Mention.
No, it's a top 11.
Honorable.
So I'm going to throw this one out. Illusion of Gaia.
Okay.
This game was something else entirely. The story...
Was it an illusion?
The story revolves around this kid named Will. You're in what appears to be like a fantasy setting. And you're dealing with like actual historical events at the same time as like all this weird fantasy stuff's happening, at the same time as there's this epic story about this kid and who he really is and finding himself in the world and watching his friends. Some of them actually die in the game, in the story. You watch it, it's like, what? He ends up having a very deep romantic relationship with someone in the game. They're kids. They're all kids, but this is all happening. It is a wild, wild ride. And what makes it weirder, when he goes into dungeons, he attacks with a flute. And that's not all. Then when he starts awakening his powers, he transforms into a Dark Knight, a giant man with a black armor and a black sword, and casts magic. And then eventually he turns into a giant man made out of fire, blue fire. It's a trip of a game.
It sounds too messed up.
Oh, but it was so good. It was really well done. It was an Enix or was it Square? It's one of them. I think it's Enix. So it's yeah.
Okay.
Crazy stuff.
All right. Next game on the list, we'll just go with the other one, is in fact MechWarrior 3050.
Is that the one I was talking about before?
That's the one you were talking
with
about
the Mad
before.
Cat.
With the Mad Cat.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, like, when I was playing it, the clan invasion was happening. Like, all the clan mechs were going, and I'm a big Inner-Sphere guy. I love the fact that they're kind of like the underdogs, really, at least at that point in time in BattleTech.
Yeah.
And but I still enjoyed being the Mad Cat, which is one of the clan mechs. It's one of the most famous clan mechs. And just going around stomping stuff, shooting people. It had the isometric view, but it was just a ton of fun. Enjoyed my time with that.
Mad Cat was my first mech.
I played that on the Super Nintendo first.
Yeah.
And then I went and bought it for my Sega Genesis and started playing it some more. So.
Back when my family, I could go to Navy Pier to just like do stuff. That's when they started getting the BattleTech cabinets.
Oh yeah,
in that one place,
those.
And you basically climbed in this cabinet and you piloted a mech and you fought each other. And my first ever mech in that was a Mad Cat. And when I got to see that game come out, and I was like, "It's a Mad Cat, gotta play it." And I'm like, "I can't push the buttons. I don't know what I'm doing." so it was a short-lived experience, but it was still awesome. The Mad Cat was the mech in that.
Yeah,
so, awesome game. Good choice. Okay. We're going to pick this one. Kirby Superstar.
Never played it.
So again,
most of the games you said I've never played.
I know. So there are people who could argue Kirby Superstar is 7 games in 1. Technically true. But the whole experience was amazing. The game was just fun. Like it wasn't like a normal Kirby game. Like it was, and then it had like game modes that were like little stories. There was the Adventure of Dynablade. There was the Adventure Meta Knight's Revenge. There was the Great Cave Escape. The Great Cave Treasure Hunt or something like that. The game just took everything to a different level. It's when a Kirby's power-up started getting like, hey, if you press this button and do this, like you do a directional and the attack button, you do something different than you would normally. So it's really where he started expanding his roster of attacks. And the game was just great. And when you did the cave hunt, it was massive and you could get lost going from door to door trying to find all the treasures. But what was really cool is when you stumble upon, there were certain bosses that were based off of Dragon Quest. Like they came up in a battle menu, and they would attack you while you were on the bottom of the screen, and it would say like, "The witch casts flare." And there's a big old fireball and stuff. Like it was awesome. That game was so cool.
All right, very cool. All right, the next game, I suspect you have this on your list as well.
We'll see.
Mega Man X.
Dang it. Okay, I'm just going to check that off then, since we're going to talk about it right now.
Yeah,
Mega Man X was amazing.
Mega Man X was I loved the original Mega Man series so much, and when I saw that they were coming out with Mega Man X, my first thoughts as a kid were like, what'd they do to Mega Man? they didn't do anything bad to Mega Man, did they? and like I was actually concerned, and technically Mega Man X, if memory serves, is not Mega Man.
Depends on who you ask, but technically, I think he is.
Well,
but you know, again, that's one of the great arguments of continuity and linearity. And
well, I am not one who has looked into all the ins and outs of the Mega Man timeline, but I will say that as a game in and of itself, it is great. I enjoyed my time with it immensely, and me and my friends would take turns beating the different robot masters.
Mega Man X is the reason I wanted a Super Nintendo. When I saw that in the magazine, I got so excited. I looked at my mom and I go, "Mom, can I please have a Super Nintendo? This game's coming in." And she's like, "No." And so I was devastated until I found a way that it was like, you can earn some money to buy your own. I'm like, okay. And so I did it. And that's it. Probably one of the best things that ever happened. One of the best decisions I ever did. That game was just so good. And the only thing that ever disappointed me is that we didn't get to keep the Japanese names.
I don't know the Japanese names.
Okay, so I'll tell you them all if I can remember them right now. Okay, Ice Penguin was Icy Penguigo.
Okay.
Storm Eagle was Storm Eagleed.
Oh my goodness. Is this just a bunch of English?
No, like they gave them fancy names instead of just like basic bleh. And then the other one I can remember is the ant that shoots the boomerangs. Oh, I remember the octopus too. But the ant was Boomer Kawanger instead of just Boomer Kawang or whatever his name is. And then Launch Octopus was Launcher Octopold. Like, that name just sounds cooler, man. I wish we could have kept those names. But, yeah, great game. Great choice.
All right.
So, we've agreed on that one. I got 3 left. You want to... How are you doing?
I'll go again.
Okay, you do it. Go ahead.
All right. This one is the game that kind of started my journey that eventually led me to one of the best characters of all time. In a different game, honestly.
Let me guess. Is it No. Fatal Fury 2?
No,
Oh.
But I start Street Fighter 2 and all of its incarnations. Because the Super Nintendo had a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Because
Because that game had a bunch of iterations.
Yeah, the whole meme of Street Fighter EX plus Alpha blah, blah,
squared.
Blah. Yeah, Turbo. That was a thing because that's what it was in the mid '90s.
And it all ended with Championship Edition.
I forgot about Championship Edition. But I started with Street Fighter 2. We played it at my friend's house. We played a ton of Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
And absolutely loved it.
Only character I could play was Dhalsim.
Well, I played Guile primarily at that point in time because that was the only guy I could really beat Bison with really easily by being super cheap and just doing flash kicks. Flash kick, flash kick, flash kick, flash kick. That's how I beat him. And then, I started to love fighting games. I played a lot of fighting games. That was kind of like my prime fighting game era. Like, I played a ton of them.
Yeah.
And then, eventually I played a bunch of SNK fighting games, and the best fighting game character of all time, without any doubt and without question, is Terry Bogard, and anybody who says so otherwise is just not being honest with themselves.
Yoshimitsu. Get on my level.
Whatever.
Here's a tough truth. When I first started playing Street Fighter 2 at a buddy's house, I couldn't play Ryu. I couldn't do the moves.
Actually, in the original Street Fighter on Super Nintendo, his Dragon Punch is actually really hard to do.
Wasn't just the Dragon Punch. I couldn't fireball. I couldn't hurricane kick. I sucked at it. You know what I could do? I could do the dive kicks and everything with Dhalsim. So that's why I used Dhalsim, because I needed range and and they were easy to do. So that was my choice. Okay. So, I've got 3 left.
Yep.
We're getting near the end. We're getting near our time. This is another one of my cheat ones. And these are going to go in order. Breath of Fire 1 and 2. 2 beautifully crafted RPGs by Capcom, even though Breath of Fire 1 came out by Square.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But which was funny because you're playing a Squaresoft game and there's a hidden room in this one village and you see Chun-Li practicing a lightning kick. You're like, what? That's cool. But it never dawned on me as a kid, like, why is Chun-Li in a Squaresoft game? Because it was actually by Capcom. But Breath of Fire RPG, turn into dragons and monsters and werewolves and whatever and save the world. It is such a great series in the beginning. Then things got weird towards the end. But yeah, I'd love to see a revitalization of that series from the beginning.
Yeah, the only one. A lot of people want to see that one coming back.
But 1 and 2, amazing stuff.
Full disclosure, I've never played any of the Breath of Fire games.
You really should.
Not a single
I think
one.
you'd like them. You got any more?
I think we got our honorable mention here.
You have honorable mentions.
Oh.
I already kind of did my honorable mention. You go ahead.
Okay, well, I thought
I got 2 left.
I thought I'd save my honorable mention for the second to last. You're like, the kind of suspense.
Okay, fine. Then we'll just go through my last 2.
Okay.
Okay? This is tough to decide between which one of these is my number 1. But I did.
Okay.
Here's not my number 1. Chrono Trigger.
That is really surprising, honestly. I thought for sure that was... Wait, hold on a second. You've already said Final Fantasy, Breath of Fire...
Yeah,
Oh, I know what it is.
I played a lot of RPGs as a kid, didn't I?
I know it is number 1. I know it is number 1.
I don't think you do.
I do.
Well, I'll let you guess here in a second. But no, Chrono Trigger's just... If you've never played Chrono Trigger, if you've never seen Chrono Trigger, I'm going to show you some footage, and I just highly suggest you play this game and you get invested. This RPG is so good. The characters are so well done. Akira Toriyama's art is so amazing. Nothing about this RPG is bad,
Actually,
except for its sequel. But that's an argument for another time.
You could argue that it's peak Akira Toriyama in the mid-90s.
It is.
Right after Dragon Ball.
It is.
Really, yeah.
It really is. And the characters are wonderful all the way through. And it's time travel, and it's silly, and it's weird, and it's awesome. So, what do you think is my number 1?
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt's number 1 is Lufia.
No.
Oh, man, I thought for
Shut
sure.
down. Although I actually did contemplate putting Lufia 1 and 2 on my list. They're both amazing. I love that series.
Oh, was it Secret of Mana then?
No.
Wow.
I'm going to blow your mind. Ready? This is a platformer.
Bubsy?
Nope. We're going to stop right there, folks. Have a great day.
Earthworm Jim! Yeah!
No, shut up.
Go.
No, we're running tight on time. So,
Alright, fine.
Demon's Crest.
Never heard of that one.
So, Ghosts and Goblins. One of the most notorious enemies in that game is that red demon in the first level. And his name is Firebrand. Well, guess what? Capcom made a side series with him.
You know, I do remember hearing about this once upon a time.
Demon's Crest is one of the most gorgeous, most musically satisfying games ever on the Super Nintendo. The controls are very solid, and it's all about collecting these different crests that allow Firebrand to transform into different demons to get through the game. One's a mer creature, one gives him stronger flight powers, one is just a big old heavy beast of a thing. And the story is just good. The story is just actually really good. And there's a hidden boss that is stupid and insane and really difficult to beat. And I beat it one time in my entire life. And I guarantee you it wasn't when I was a kid. But that game utilized Mode 7. Because you got to fly around to choose your levels. And you could go back to levels and stuff. Almost like a Metroidvania. Almost. But
Okay.
it's, I can hear the music now in my head as I'm talking to you about it. It's so good. So good. The very first level song actually makes me a little emotional just listening to it, how beautiful it is.
Okay.
So,
All right. So I have.
your honorable mention.
Honorable mention.
Let me guess. Boogerman?
No, I played Boogerman on Sega Genesis.
Oh, okay. Well, I had to take a shot.
You want to take another shot?
No.
Okay.
No, we don't have time for me to take another shot.
And it pains me to say this as a Sega Genesis aficionado, but the better version aficionado. The better version of this game is most certainly on the Super Nintendo, and I did play quite a bit back in the day, and that is Mortal Kombat 2.
Okay.
Mortal Kombat 2, in my opinion, could be the best game in that whole series. I know a lot of people love Mortal Kombat 3 and 3 Ultimate, and some of the newer ones are good. I played the one that came out circa 2010, which was Mortal Kombat 11, I want to say is what it was. That's actually really good too. But Mortal Kombat 2 is just amazing and really good controls for the time. There was always these fights, you had your camp, like Street Fighter 2, like that. Those kids hated Mortal Kombat, and then you had the Mortal Kombat kids, at least on my playground, who hated Street Fighter, and I'm just sitting there like, can I like both of them?
Is 2 the one with Motaro?
No, I don't think so.
I can't remember.
It's been a long time.
Anyways, Motaro's stupid.
But yeah, it was just a beautifully made game and really good. And I suggest everybody play that one.
I suggest you play all of the ones that we've talked about on this list. These are some fantastic games. There's even other games. You want me to give you some quick honorable mentions? Brainlord, Robotrek, Animaniacs. Just to name 3, just off the top of my head. Amazing games. Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore.
Okay.
So good. The Super Nintendo had amazing games. If you can find them, play them. So good.
Okay, and in my opinion, the best Super Nintendo game.
Oh, you left your number 1 for last?
Yeah.
I thought you had already done it. I'm sorry.
No, this is my number 1.
All right, here we go.
And
this is Boogerman.
No, I already said it wasn't.
Well, no, I thought that was your honorable mention. No, this is your...
No, I told you I played Boogerman on Sega Genesis. Whether that gets on my Sega Genesis games of all time, you'll have to wait and find out. At any rate, UN Squadron.
Okay. That's a good game. That's a good choice.
I love UN Squadron. I love the fact that you could level up in a time where you couldn't do these things outside of Fantasy Zone. Fantasy Zone is the only game I could think of that you could level up your character in a shoot 'em up. You could level up your shot. You could level up your plane. You could level up each different plane had access to different weapons. It had different traits. The pilot that you used to fly the plane had different traits that affected how your plane was used, and it's just a fantastic game.
Provided you can get past the bombing run at the beginning.
I got past the bombing run.
I know, but
it is hard.
That's a really hard part, but once you get past that part, that game is awesome.
It is a really hard game. I won't make any. I won't apologize for it either. It's really hard, but it's the best Super Nintendo game, in my opinion.
Well, you've heard our opinions. Now we're going to ask you, what are your opinions? What are your favorite Super Nintendo games? You only have to give us your top 1 if that's what you feel like. But we want to know. Tell us in the comments down below. Thank you so much for listening to us today. It's been awesome. Apologize that this is gonna take longer to get out than normal because I'm gonna put video game footage on top of this. So for those of you watching it, you have something to watch, and those of you listening, well, just bear with me.
Granted, he's saying this at the end when you've already watched everything.
Yeah. It's called playing to the algorithm.
I guess, yeah.
Anyhow, thank you guys so much for listening. We do appreciate you. We do want to hear from you. We hope you guys have an awesome time playing games this week. And we'll see you in the next one.
Take care.
Later.